8 o'clock. All right. We don't need these up here now either. See somebody popped in. How you doing? Gonna refill my coffee real quick. Use different stuff. Gotta mod shit more than you should have to, but all right. So you got a Reefs 99 micro you want to install. Where'd that go? Into your Ryft for shift duty. However, the Reefs 99 micro is a bit different than the standard servo that comes with it that will fit on the setup. It's not as tall. Standard servo, the cap here comes up much higher, and darn near up to that height, and then you got the unit. So when you put the horn on, the horn is generally sitting on the standard setup about yay high. You know, it's setting up there quite a ways as far as height goes. So when your horn's on there, it kind of fits. Of course, the Reefs is a kind of low profile right in this area. You see, it's pretty low right here. It doesn't come up hardly at all. And then, of course, when you put the horn on it, it sets very low, and there's not enough room underneath everything to work. So there's a few things that I ended up doing to make this work, or hopefully make it work. It should work. I haven't tried anything yet. I'm getting ready to do the final install, but I just sat here for a couple of hours and kind of pissed around with a few things. So what I ended up doing is modding my mount a little bit. Where the Reefs mount's in there, you can see I've got it whittled out just a little bit more than the thickness of the servo lip, this little lip right here. I'm gonna try to do it this way and really get it to clean up here. That's getting a little bit. Come on. Okay, there we go. That was, darn ya. This thing is such a pain in the ass. Okay, so I had to notch it out a little bit to drop it a little bit. And then the piece here, I cut it down a little bit from this way. There we go. Now you can see where I've thinned it down. It used to drop down off the bottom of that a little bit up underneath here, and I trimmed that off a little bit. So now when the horn, with the servo setting a little bit lower and the horn, you know, on it, and then that piece sitting there, I went like, this is what I did. See, the servo could have been up a little bit more. I could have left this a little thicker. Personally, I would have left the servo up a little bit more, but I took a little bit more off that than I wanted to. I only wanted to really take it off so the thickness of the mount piece here. So the top of the servo was flush with the top of the unit, but I got a little bit deeper on that. However, when you set that out like that, as you can see, that horn comes right up underneath there. Get it. Come on, focus on me. Focus for me. Focus on my fingers, but it won't bring that into flipping detail. What a crap ass camera. Creative junk. So there you go. That's getting a little cleaner. But yeah, you can see that is just a little bit distance there in between them. Not much. See, maybe get a different view. There we go, like that. There you go. You can kind of see just that little gap in there. And then what I did is in this micro servo itself, slot it out between those third and second hole. Tried putting a screw in here, 2 millimeter or 2.5, and it broke off. The junk ass screw broke off in the aluminum. Steel screw broke off in the aluminum. I'll tell you how bad the steel screw was. I don't even see threads in this damn hole. I don't know. Maybe they don't have thread. I don't know. I thought the Reefs had little, hole threads in those holes, but I couldn't find a screw I had that small, even a 2 millimeter or 440, that would thread into any of these holes. So maybe this one didn't get threaded. Who knows? So anyways, not needed. I slided that off. So I had a little slot in there so things could slide in and slip in between. And then I took an axle pin. Let's see if we can get this to give a little bit of come on, focus, you piece of junk. Yeah, a little bit better, but it's trying, but it's trying to keep focusing on the back, piece of shit. Okay, there we go. So, little axle stuff. It was longer than this, and I had to trim off maybe 1.5 millimeters. So what's going to happen is this is going to come in here, thread down right into here. The stub will come underneath and slide in the slot. And then it'll shift and move and not bind. So what I have to do here is I need to get the system up here for a minute. Plug in the channel 5. Grab battery. Grab the radio. Okay, so power radio on. I am on the Ryft. Let's go ahead and recenter my EPAs, sub trim. So I had to really crank it. I had to basically sub trim it down to 0 to get her in a good spot. Just down to sub trim back at 0, enter, exit, move back up to EPAs, enter, wrong button, and go to channel 5, And we set these to 100%. So I need to turn this servo on, power it up, and get it centered. And to do that, you want to set your settings back to stock standard settings when you're going to set up. I had made adjustments trying to get it to work yesterday. Okay, channel 5 EPA is good. Now, power up or juice the system. And now, power. Okay. Okay, servo is centered. And now we can power off. Unplug the juice. Set aside. Unplug channel 5 and set this puppy aside. And I've got the switch set for my shifter. I've got a 3-way position switch here. And I put my 3-way position switch in what should be neutral. So what I need to do is get my tranny in neutral. I want to get it kind of nicely centered. So what I'm doing is moving the shifter until I'm just touching first gear right now. There it is. Come back. Take a note of where you're at. So you're just touching second gear. Right there. And now split that difference. It's only about 2 millimeters. You can spin it and here it's not touching anything. Now, let me go like this. Get her at about 90. You want to move her just a little bit. Come up, move one tooth in. I'll shove that in. And there's my, there it is, the bottom of the servo on the magnet. What I do before I go one last shot here is I'm going to power back on real quick. And make sure my servo center plate is in good position. Make sure that puppy's in a good spot. Radio is still on. Okay. The juice. Yeah, see, I don't know how I got all moved off the center, but she got way moved. Okay, so where's my little... do this. Back in center, power off real quick. try to power back up and see where we're at. Well, I think that's going to be perfect. Now, let me exit EPA, move down to sub trim. 5. Okay. Got 60. 60 steps. Get this servo sub trimmed over to where it's in the center. So let me double check these things. I'll power off. Go ahead and enter that and save it. Exit, exit, shut the radio off. Power back on. Go back in there. Okay. Okay, now that is good. Now I can go ahead and set our pin screw. It's good to go into second here. Oh yeah, that comes out of there pretty decently. I'll show you guys in a few seconds here. Now let's go to second. Okay, that's where I need to go in and readjust the Okay, now let me try second. We're going to second and all right, so I had to readjust my sub trim there. And where I did now is now I'm at -34. So this is part of the setup process. It's kind of a pain. Got to go through here and set these things. Now, travel is quite a ways. All right, so that's what I need to do. So we're going to call that moved it to 40 for my sub trim. Now, before we go farther, power off and power back on. The reason I'm doing that is to make sure that when I fire back up, everything returns to where it is set and don't stress the servo and then turn around and cause it to burn out. Channel 5 EPA. Okay. Now let's go enter and cut this right down to 50%. And sometimes you gotta watch, because sometimes you adjust this stuff and it moves your damn things. Down to 50%. So when you do this, you may end up having to readjust your, pay attention, because you may need to readjust your trims for that channel. For me, I'm using channel 5. All right. So I'm at 50, in 50, and I think this one is the right channel here. Throw it in first. Nope, wrong one. So let's throw it in second. And increase it. As long as you can move it. Okay. Looking like 30. Okay. So now I'm setting my EPA, and this would be for second gear. And I'm just making a couple bumps, making sure my shifter moves, and I'm not binding. I'm at 33. Seven, 9, 30. No more movement after 30. So go back down. Move her down, and then I'm going to bring her up to 28. It's 29. Yep, 26, 27, 28. 26. 23. 26. I'm going to go to 29%. It's 21. At 28. I'm going to leave it there. That's pretty, should be pretty darn good. Okay, now we enter and go to our other side, and I'm going to knock this down. The same thing. The other day, last night, it didn't even take that much. Yeah, that's pushing way much. So we're going to knock this down to 10, actually 15. Second, neutral. First. Take it back down to 5. This one ain't taking much to get into first gear. Barely in there. Oops, wrong way. So again, same thing, you bump it up until it stops moving. At 21, it was still moving a little bit. Too much stopped, and I can feel it's really pushing. 21, stiff. 20, stiff. 19, starting to loosen up. 18, 17, pretty loose there. Here's second. Yeah, the servo is a lot cooler than it was. Of course, it was straining hard before. It did go up a little bit more. 20. Yeah, you can feel it starting to bind a little bit. It's pushing hard on 23, 21, 20. Yeah, 18, 17, 18. Go ahead and drill. Seventeen, 16. Still moves. First, neutral. Still needs a little extra. I'll get it out of neutral though. If I go, and I've always had this issue since I put this in on Saturday. If I'm in first and I go to neutral, it kind of binds and bumps. But if I go to second and then neutral, now it's smooth. It takes a little bit to get out, so I'm going to leave it at 28 on second, 18 for first gear. So there's the first, and it's not in there, it dropped in. So you come out of neutral or into neutral, still bites a little bit until it moves a little bit more. And then second gear drops right in, goes right back. So let's go ahead and exit out of that. Let's go back down to sub trim. And now see if we can make a little bit of an adjustment. Definitely going the wrong way there. Okay. Okay. We're going to get her perfect. We'll take her to 50%. Do some checks. And good. Okay. I think that's going to work fine because that's allowing it to move every time it shifts. Let's see if I can get this a little from here. We'll go like this. Let's see if we can make this camera focus a little bit better, maybe. Be a little bit closer here to everything else. So, just doing it a minute ago, you stupid son of a dog. Wow, this thing's fucking amazing. Amazingly stupid. You know, focus on shit close when it wants to. Okay, here's first. Second, you can see that pin sliding in there. Got a little room to move. So there's one other thing that's going to have to be dealt with. So first, plenty of room around that little slot. There you go. Oh yeah, servo's nice and it's warm, but it was getting steaming hot the other day. We're going to leave that at 70. Power down, and then power it back up. Make sure everything's in good place. Shut her off. Radio off. Let her set a minute. Light up another one of these nasty ass things. So I got that here a little bit better. You can see how far the servo mount was trimmed. I said I only wanted to go as thick as, come on, you son of a dog. Trying to focus on 2% of the damn screen and keep it. What a piece of shit. Yeah, that's a pretty clear look. Come on, focus right, you piece of junk. God, this thing's a real piece of shit. All right, there you can see it really good. I wanted to leave the very top of the servo case on the top. And that would have kicked it up 0.5 millimeter or so. But you can kind of see, you know, it would have been, you could have done the same thing, but there's not enough room underneath the horn. Between the horn and the servo, there's not enough room for your shift mechanism between there. That's the problem. That's why the other systems right here, they actually come up taller, so the horn sets higher off the servo top, case top, and it leaves more gap underneath there. If Reefs were to do something, whether they added just a standard 25-2 spline instead of the micro spline, maybe they should do that. Just make the micro servo and put a 25-2 spline in it like everybody else does and sell that as an option. Maybe if the guys over at Reefs are listening, that would be really the smartest thing to do, is just make your micro servo, make 2 options. Give them with a 25-tooth micro spline and give it with a 25-tooth standard spline. Guys, that would make so many people's life so much more easy. Yeah, you might not sell a $7 aluminum horn, but you're going to sell a shitload of $60, quality servos. I don't know about you folks, but if I was over there, I'd rather sell the servos than the horns. So seriously, make this a 25 damn tooth horn, so at least you can put the racing adapter on it and lift everything up. Make your own adapter. Do something, please. These are great servos, but because of that damn 25 tooth micro spline, drive output shaft, they're limited in what you can damn do with them. So do that. So there, that's, I think it's gonna work fine. That should be nice and good. It shifts smoothly. Oh, I wanted to double power back up and double check that everything was still centered. Well, I guess that's a good check. We'll unplug and plug back in too. But yeah, that micro servo is a great servo. The spline on it could use a standard size spline, guys and gals, or gals, whichever's over there. Okay, and we're in first. Yeah, everything looks good. One thing, when it pushes, it'll bind a little bit until it snaps into place. So let me leave it in first gear. We're just going to let it set and do a little bit of just shifting, work it a little bit. I want to see if it heats up before I throw it in there. We're now leave it in gear and just let it set a couple minutes, 3-4 minutes. Probably too long. I'll check it every 10 seconds or so. What I'm looking to do is see if it's heating up. If it's heating up, it's because it's creating stress. If it's heating up and creating stress, it's doing so because the EPAs aren't set right. Then you set, grabs up standard. Okay, I hit the link and it's showing the link at 78.6. Right at the motor, she's 87. Showing 90. It's getting a little warmer. 92. 91.9. In first gear here. 91.6. Actually cooling down a smidge. 91.6. 91. So it's actually cooling down. That means good. It's in second. Let's go to first. 90.9. Let me work it a bit. It's still going down. I'm going up a little bit there. .7 on that one. .4. Let's do it again. 89.8. 89.2. Go right at the little motor here. 86. It's almost ambient temperature. Yeah. 85, 86. We'll leave it in 86.5, 88, 88, 87. Heat it up a little bit. It's cooling back down. 85.3, just from, you know, on in and out. Got it in first gear. 86.2. 86.7, 87.8, 86 even, 86.2, 86. Yeah, I think this is going to be great. 84 or 86.4. Now, just to show you what it does do, I'm going to go into the sub trim. I'm sorry, not sub trim. I don't want sub trim. I'll be right in the expo or EPAs. Expo. First gear. Let's take a temperature reading. 86.5. What I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the percentage up to 30. So it's trying to push harder. So now we should be overworking the servo. 87.6. And it's going to be stressing now and should be building heat because it's trying to push farther than it should. Well, it doesn't look like it is. Let me crank it up to 50. Yeah, there we go. Now it's going up. Now it's 92.8, 94.5, 96.3, 97.9, 97, 99.1, 94, 102, 97.3, 102, 103. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it back down to 18%. Back into first. 99.7. 104. Going to take it a minute to cool down here. Yes, it ain't a lot of heat. 104 is not real hot, but 90 is a lot better. 103, so it's going to take it a few minutes to cool down. Still 103. Still 103. $101. I want to keep that in there. I got a servo mount or grommet that goes in your screw around your screws for your servos. I kind of isolate your servos a little bit for shock mounting. Slips right around the shaft, slides right in the hole, but it does come out. I want to use that to kind of keep grime out of the hole. It should work really well. I think I'm going to have to do a little bit of super glue on the back of it and shove it in the hole so it sticks to the plastic well. Creates no bind on anything. Nice and good that way. 99.9. So it is dropping in temperatures. Now it's back in where it needs because I've got it neutral now too to take all stress off it. 98.6. So you can see how just a little past, I'm sitting at 18, I went up to 30 and it didn't make much difference, but I went to 50. It really made a difference on my EPA, 50% travel, 98.4. And it started heating that servo up. And that's why your servos burn out, ladies and gentlemen. So you got a servo that's getting really hot, and or you got servos that are burning out. Almost certainly, there's two good possibilities. You got a servo that's rated for 6 volts, and you're running 7.2 to it out of the ESC. You got to pay attention. A lot of these stock RTR servos, like the ones that come in the Ryft, if you get the shift 2-speed shift, which this RTR doesn't have, or say the SCX-10.3, which has the small 109 spectrum servos, you got to set those endpoints, and that's very important for that channel that these any servos on, but especially these micro servos. They don't take much heat to burn out. 92. 95. Dang, wow, acting like it's heating up again. 93.7. $91.8. 93. I wasn't really at the servo there. So it's doing all right. I think that's going to be good. I'm going to leave it on for a few more minutes. Make sure all's straight. Nice little temp gun from Sky RC. Picked up one of these units to check my ESCs and motors for drag racing. Things great for checking things like servo EPAs, and I use too much EPA and putting too much stress on a servo and heating it up, therefore burning it out. At the very minimum, shortening its electronics life. Yeah, now it's down to 88.3. $91.8. 90.2. That's a pretty standard, you know, 85, 90. It's 90 degrees in the house right now, so I think that's going to work just damn dandy. There we go. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, put this installed back together, get this puppy ready to go. I'm hoping soon. Let's see, can I shut this off and hold it and just have it shut off? No, don't look like it. Guess you just let her set and she shuts off herself. Okay, so that pop you here, enter you, make sure we keep you, shut you off. So yeah, it's my little rendition of making the Reefs 99 work. Drop the servo, you know, trim the case out, drop the servo in the case a little bit. Minimum, you know, depth of the mount piece, 1.5 millimeters. Slot between the outer second and the center horn, which would be your second and third holes. Take a razor blade or whatever and trim down your shift knob, what your screw goes through, and then take a axle pin that comes out of a lot of kits. I think, like I said, this come out of my SSD. Sand down, file down. I use my Dremel and the cutoff wheel and just use the surface of the cutoff wheel and thin down that axle or the shaft part, the unthreaded shaft part, till it's thin enough to go into my slide of my horn. Cut it off for length so it didn't get too far deep and wasn't dragging on my servo. And that's just sitting in there. It's not screwed in. It's just sliding, as you can see. But I think that is going to work out really quite well. Now, this is going to be one other problem that I mentioned earlier. And this is what I'm going to go over right here real quick. Let me clean this up a smidge, just so I ain't dropping sand all over everything. It's 8:30, 8:45, whatever it is at this point. Okay. So, when you put this puppy back together, tranny goes in there. Here's your issue. Look at the bottom of the servo and where the mount goes. Try to get a better Okay, so we dropped that servo. That's a tall servo already. So that is going to run into some problems here. So what we got to do is you're going to have to figure out, you're going to have to trim this down some. This piece right here is going to be trimmed down, so it will now come up underneath that servo, probably down to about here. That's what I'm going to try to check out right now. That in there. That in there. Oh yeah, she's got quite a bit of a distance in there. So, find my blade. Find out how far in it's got to be, because that's where it's going to be hitting. Put a mark there. Okay. Now, determine how far down it's got to go. Quite a ways. Okay, so setting those two pieces together. Right there is my line for the servo, because if you look, also something else I should make note of on the mount. So you've got your servo, right? And then your whole mount hole here, your center hole, and then your other mount hole. Well, most people, and I did at first, mounted in the center hole. So the servo was, you know, in this way a little farther. Unfortunately, that puts the servo in there a little too far. Now, I might be able to, now that I have that slot, and that slot is big enough, I might be able to do an adjustment, move this servo in to about here. Come on, focus up for me. I mean, this thing, the only thing that's in the damn thing, you'd think it would focus. Okay. Move it into about right here. You know, and center that horn a little bit more. So you could do this and mount in this here, in this slot right here. It won't fit all the way here because of this bracing back here on the tranny. The servo won't go all the way in, but it does go to this slot right here, obviously. Right there, no problem. It fits right in there. Go right in there, just dandy. Then you'll be, like, say, oh, you know, doing slightly different adjustments than what I had. Your sub trim will be different. Your ETAs will be close, but they'll probably be a little bit different. But you'll be able to probably do a little less trimming on this piece. So this is the last thing I got to do is I got to trim that off. You can see, like I said, it's where it was going down at back there. It's a little bit. And then as far as depth goes, it's about that much off the height. So go ahead and slide this out and just loosen you right out. Another look here. Okay. So Okay. Okay. Just a little more trim here. Okay. Knock that down a little bit. That's where she's at now. Let's see how she fits up underneath there. Oh yeah. That looks like it fits a lot better. Probably going to need a shorter screw there, but that does fit much better in there. So let's start slamming some stuff together here. Let's see. Well, actually, before I do that, let me go ahead and put the motor in. There. Oh no, you will go there. You should go there. Be the right. Yep, right mesh. Let's see. I need my. Okay. Cut it into place. Come on now. It's sloppy in there. There it is. There's the one I had yesterday. Okay. That does that. Let's cure that. Go ahead and mount this bad punk in the position she needs to be in. Okay. Okay. It is the Reefs, my man. That is a Reefs Micro. You gotta dig it in there. Come on. Give us the focus, you piece of junk. I know you can kind of see it there in the shadows, but God, this thing's a piece of crap. But yeah, she's a Reefs. That's what I went with. But she's a bit of a trick to get in there, and that's what this section of the video, part 3, as I've been calling it here, pulling my hair out. It's a little bit of a trick to get this bad boy set up properly. Okay. So yeah, getting the Reefs in there, wasn't too hard, but getting it in there so it could work. It's got the 25 tooth micro horn. Can't find a dang horn to fit it unless it's just the Reefs horn. And the distance in the top, if you watch the rest of the video up until now, the previous hour, I go over those issues that I was dealing with here, trying to get this puppy in the right place. But yeah, I did go with the Reefs. I see a lot of people are using the TP power or TX4 from whichever company it is. Yeah, support. Too much weight here. Yeah, I've been liking the Reefs servos. I've been using those. It's got the 555 in it. You can see it there, probably not there, but yeah, I got the 555 in steering right now. I had a 444 in it, but I went ahead and swapped out for the 555. The 444 is in my crawler, and it doesn't see as extreme abuse as this thing will, so I figured I'd throw the 555 in here and put the 454 in my Trail King and go from there. Let's see. So I do want to drop just a smidge in there. Loctite on these two for the motor plate part. Try to help keep those locked into place somewhat. And hopefully I can, this video covers some of your questions that you may have there, Paul. If you had any questions about using this, it's got a couple quirks to get it in place to make it work right. But once it's there, it's good to go. Yeah. It's there. This one's here. And let's see, these are the lower radio box ones. Radio box spots are getting a little dogged out. I should probably put some longer ones in there, but these will do all right for the moment. Now I'm gonna need a shorty here. I don't know what I got available because I had to cut 1/8 of an inch, 2 millimeters or so off of that mount piece. So I'm just looking to see what I've got for a short countersunk used. I've got some. I just don't know if I got one in here. Don't look like it. Ooh, I got hiccups. Pull my bag that I had out just a little bit ago because I got short bolts in that. That's what some of these things are. See how short they are. I should have hopefully a decent short one. Countersunk anyways. Maybe not. I've got a couple button heads in here that I could use. Let's see what I've got in here. Got anything in that. Okay, that's all the shorter stuff I have to look in. Alright. It's the same length as the one I have. Well, actually, that one's longer. I think I got one of these ones backwards, so I think it was this one. Yep. Be aware when you put your screws back, don't put the short ones in where the long ones go. Don't use a shorty when you need a biggie to get the job done. I think this is going to be just not tall enough, so let me go real slow. Right there. A little too long. Let me see if I've got a slightly shorter one. If not, I'll throw a button head in there because I do have some short button heads. I think the shortest ones I got in here are that short. Ooh, maybe. I might have one in here that'll work. These are fairly short. Okay. Let's take a peek. We'll put this one in by hell. Yeah, that's a bit shorter than that one. A couple millimeters, so that should work out great for this one. Same thread, same 2, 3 millimeter, 2 millimeter, whatever it is. I just want to put it in by hand because it's getting a little whopped. Those ones can be longer, as I said earlier, so I really don't need that one. All right. So one of the pains of this piece is this radio box. It is a bit of a pain in the arse. Bit of a pain in the arse. Come on, get up there, you little pecker. Okay. Down there. Okay. Move off this side. Temporarily get it over there. You off this side. Actually, I'll probably run that through there. A little shorter on the way. It's the extra one. That. Come on this way. Now, one of the other things, and I'll go over that here in a second. I did have another option that I could have used as opposed to wallowing out the case itself. Probably need some longer ones in there to get in some fresh air to bite and help keep that sealed. But yeah, we'll call it good. That should work out pretty well. So there's they are. Tranny's all mounted back into place. Reefs Micro is mounted. Now let me fire up again before I go any farther and double check that everything is where it needs to be. Should be, but I want to make sure nothing's shifted around on me. Whoop. Looks like I got it all plugged in. Okay. Here's second. Neutral. First. Neutral. And so you can hear it catching that a little bit. Second. Neutral. First. Neutral. Second. Neutral. All right, looks good. Power down. Radio off. Battery unplugged. There, I can get this plugged in actually. Just a couple twists to keep it kind of tight. Now, three. Okay. Now, before I go too far here, let me go ahead and readjust a smidge. Make this a little easier to see in there underneath, hopefully. Not quite that great, it's all black and kind of hard to see that stuff in there. So the other option that I had, airplane clevises. Got a plastic one, got a metal one. Is what I had on hand. The metal one is too small for the shaft. It doesn't screw on the end of the shaft. The plastic one did. It had a little bit bigger opening on the other end. You can screw on the shaft. But they make metal ones that are in a bigger thread, you know, bigger rod size. I gotta presume the thread on the shaft is probably a 3, maybe 4 millimeter threading. I think it's an M3 on the shaft. Not positive. This is where your linkage connects on here for your shaft lever, your shift linkage here, the plastic piece. That shaft that goes on, the shift shaft. If you can find a metal clevis that'll go on there, what this does is obviously it surrounds each side of the horn. Can't really see that, can you? Really not easy to see, but anyways, let me do it this way. Clevis pops open and goes inside the horn. So that's a possibility. If you had a clevis with the right thread, you know, the right end piece and the thread, you thread that on the unit. You wouldn't need anything. You just use your Reefs Servo, mount it right in there. Don't have to trim the mount at all. And I almost waited to go grab one. Run to my local hobby shop tomorrow in Saginaw, about 40 minutes away, just to see if they had the right size shaft or the right size clevis with the right thread. The other option, like I say, is a plastic one, but I didn't have a drill bit. I was going to drill a hole through it, but I didn't have a small enough drill bit. But I wouldn't trust the plastic to hold out that long. But if you could get a metal clevis that's a little shorter, a short one, doesn't need to be that long. This is the other issue is this is long. You would need one that's 1/2 inch, 5/8 of an inch, you know, what, 7, 8 millimeters max. If you could find something like that that could thread onto that rod, then that clevis will go in there, and as it, you know, shifts and moves, it's going to slop around a little bit, and you'll be able to get it damn near centered if you have a short clevis. The problem is with this clevis, because it's so long, the servo horn was going to have to be squared. Let's say the shaft and the edge of the servo is square, you know, off the shaft, the horn, or the clevis. That's the angle the horn would have to be at to get to the end of the clevis. So a clevis may be a way that could work for some folks as an option. Something I was looking at and thinking about and trying to figure out what the heck am I going to do to make that work. Well, the clevis would do it. So let's go ahead and try to fight our way in here. Here, you down there. You can come here for now. Actually, you got to go down there too, don't you? Kind of set into place. I'm thinking that is going to work out really good with that slot in the horn. Well, Paul, you might, and unless you're saying why not the Reefs, as in why didn't I use the Reefs, but why not just use the Reefs? You know, why not the Reefs? Exactly. That's what you can make it work. It may not be dropping, but you can make it work. But yeah, that's, you know, it was some tricks. This is a taller servo. It's not as short as the micros. So there are some quirks that have to be dealt with to make it work and work really quite well. But I think I was able to accomplish that. Like that is going to work out really good. Oh. Really? The nice thing about the Reefs Micro is it will operate at 7.4 volts. Something else. So you can power up that ESC and send 7.4 volts out instead of 6 or 4.8 or whatever, and get more power out of your servos, including the Reefs Micro 99. Man, I'm getting hungry. Of course, I didn't realize it was as late as it was. If I did, I would have got dinner first. I've just been eating leftovers. But I think I'm gonna make some, maybe a couple dogs tonight. Just to make life easy and do some hot dogs. Okay. Get in there, you son of a dog. Timber on the phone. They were shorter. For a moment, I thought they were long ones. I need some real bit. These ones are kind of shitty. Okay. Now, now when you throw these back together, make sure you're phasing your stuff, getting your drive shafts in phase. Okay. Okay, that takes care of that. I hope you didn't wait too long there, Paul. I know for me it's been a couple weeks. So got the riff about, it'll be 3 weeks ago, and a trade deal this week. First week I dealt with the diffs, getting those figured out or set up, and then got the lockers. Seemed they were in stock already, and didn't have to wait for the lockers, so I was able to get the diffs done. And then I ordered the 2-speed and started dealing with that last week, and started that on Friday. Actually, yeah, let me think. It came in. I think I got the stuff on Tuesday, but I wasn't able to really start it because I didn't have all the adapter ends that I thought I needed, the micro horn adapters. And that's one of the biggest quirks of this Reefs, is that micro horn output shaft causes a little bit of hang up trying to get that figured out. Okay, so that's that. Let's work with getting this bad boy ran. Come down. You can come on the inside of that, running my servo wire to keep it clear of all the stuff. I probably could have ran above that, but that would have been almost impossible. I think I should run it over there, let her drop underneath. Come on, Pecker, get over there. There. I've drilled these ones through for this front radio box brace. It was getting bent, so I drilled it through all the way, and then used a couple smaller or longer bolts on the bottom and the top until they go in and actually bite again. They're pretty whacked when I got them. It was pretty whacked when I got it. Okay. Try to route my wires here. Get those where they need to be. some of the problem I was having trying to push this thing around a little bit. That needs to be fed down in there, both of them. Okay. Little antennae wire. You need to pop up the other side here. There it should be. Okay. Looks like this in the back end. There wants to have been home. And I think extra little horn, screws, 2-speed shift shaft. I'll stick that in there. Don't need the little thing there. I'll toss this over here. Don't need that. Actually, I'll take that and stick it in with that shaft. Yeah, not one. The servo saver setup, or this pack here, AX301009. These adapters, it's a 23, a 24, and a 25, and they are standard shaft. So if you're getting the Reefs, and you're looking to buy that for those servo adapters that you need on the bottom that you only get with the servo, you can buy this pack and you get those adapters right here. These 3 pieces are those adapters, but they're for standard size servo horns. So that isn't going to do you no good to use those. Instead of about these, the Ya Racing pieces, same thing, standard size servo horn. So no good. This one, AX80052. Horns, all standard size servo shaft. So none of these 3 solutions will work. Not one. So there's about 15, 20 bucks of nothing sitting there for anybody watching. So I'm going to take a quick second. I've got to go flatter the bladder for a moment. Smash the phone anymore? Nope. Okay, so that's that. That's that. And that on that side of it. You know what? Do that. Stop a little hole right here. Put that other antenna wire in a little bit better position. Let's take a peek. Get this thing in there blind. I'll say blind because I'm coming up from underneath and I can't see where the hole's at. Now let's see. Let's run it a little bit easier, a little bit more room. Get some of the schmutz out of there. Stuff in the bottom of the hole area. Just like that. I think that'll work out pretty good. Now, try to see in there and see how that's with all that stuff. It's a little bit bigger pack. should be okay. I might want to move those wires back a bit just to keep them up out of the way. I think they'll be okay there. And that one's kind of in the way. That might be better. Okay, I think it's about good to go. Speeder, get away. I hear you. Silence! I hear you. I'm just sticking the battery in here and getting it zipped up. Strapped into place. Got you that time. Just reading the leg, you little bastard. Where was that one went? So well. Just pull it back on. Recheck everything again. Steering. Okay. Let's go to second. First. Gotta smell something for a minute. Still bumping. So we need to go to subtrim. Alright. Should be a good. Alright. Everything looks good. All down. Look at that. Okay. I did adjust my sub trim a little bit. I took it right to 100, but I'll probably back it back down. there's only a real fine area between, you know, first neutral and second. And the other thing I got today was my big old hefty horn from K&K. Big old brass horn. This is supposed to be the cat's meow where it comes to horns. Especially for this big bad Ryft bastard. I'll find my other piece. It's right here somewhere, not too far away. Probably on the floor somewhere. Oh, there it is. Or on the printer somewhere. Okay, let's see. That's the big honker. Put in that. Use the cap head, so going to be no stripping this screw. Let's see, no screws or anything else with this. So go ahead and grab that washer I threw in here earlier. Got half a dozen of them in here. Yeah, nice screw in that side too. Bastard. We're tightening that sucker up. Okay, this will set her here. I might have to readjust everything. So let's go ahead and set this stuff to 0. Got you that time. Bloodthirsty bitch. Mix it back down to sub trim, steering, power. Got this straight down. Beefy bastard in there. I'm waiting for the servo A piece to come into stock. Servo saver. This drag link replacement servo saver spring system, $50. Looks pretty damn solid compared to the other options for servo savers. Trio's piece looks really quite good. I see Hot Racing makes one almost like the Trio. A dab of Loctite. More than a dab. Hate it when the shit does this. When I drop me a whole crap load, then it's a mess. Too much. Okay. This thing's only putting 6 volts out on the ESC. I haven't changed anything. Okay, so I can see I'm going to need to turn her off a little bit. Alright. That's pretty good for now, I think. I'll have to go in and '86 to the what? '94 on the right. see what else was happening and helping their break their axle. Because when you turn to the right, not one left. When you turn to the right, I can actually see the axle flexing at the end of the turn. And it's not all the way out there. I've got it set at 87%. You're up to 80. Yeah, now there's a big gap. I guess these things are a little loose, maybe. Not tight. Oh, axle is shifting a little bit. Still is a smidge there, but 9, 92 is on the bump stop. That's causing the whole thing to go. So 90%, both left and right. Okay. I think that's good. And do a search through and make sure I didn't miss anything. Damn mosquitoes. Oh, where the hell did he go? He was right in front of my face. How did I miss him? We don't have mosquitoes out here. We've got small eagles. Our mosquitoes are fed by Dow Chemical. Okay. That in there. This is trash. And you. This can go back. Yeah. You can go back there. You can go back there. You can go back there. Yeah, you don't want to go back there, huh? Too bad. I need that. I need that for you. For a few. Now, we're going to see if this works. I haven't put these on yet. Let me go ahead and reset the cam back to make life a little bit easier. These are a set of Prolite USA beadlocks with some Pitbull Rock Beast 2s. I'm not sure what foam's in them. They're soft. They are soft. Yes, that's good. That is black type orange. Bought these used off eBay. Somebody that was in Florida, but they're pretty much new and unused. That's on there. Man, a little bit. Got a little harking going on here. Different. Hexes don't seem to be all that deep in these. Get them in there. Bolts, nuts always go on better when threaded parts sticking through. Come on. Sucker. Okay, and there we go. Doesn't look too bad with the old Proline USA beefs in there. Redo some stuff here and there. Yep, that works pretty good for the servo. Got enough room to move and bounce and get to the end of the stroke and still leave the wire a little floppy. We got it traced up. Hard to see, obviously, but comes out, goes underneath the strap here, and then goes between the battery box and that front brace, locks it in place, keeps it out of the drive shaft and everything else. Although I think I might pop these two screws out. I think I'm going to do that because I can do that quick and easy and route it to the other side. So it's out of the way of the drive shaft. Want it out of the way of the drive shaft. I did run it on the wrong side, it looks like. So, take these two out. Maybe the other two long ones I have in there now. Oops. Work you out. Oh crap! You know what? Because yeah, shoot. Do a little. I can do it that way either. This thing's running out the wrong side. I don't think I'm going to be able to shift it over there without going through the whole thing of undoing it all. But that's got to be on the other side. Or I guess if I can just throw up zip strip up there and make sure it stays up out of the way. That's what I'll do. I'll just run one zip strip around it and that'll keep it up out of the way until the next time I get in there. And the next time I get in there, then I can turn around and route it, make sure it's routed the right way. So it's away from the dry shaft and doesn't get hit, twined up, tore up, messed up, whatever. Got that kind of horse right there. Okay, that's better. Okay. That'll work. He's back in place. Small one over there will work. No one. There we go. Ready to rile. All right. So there's the kinks and tricks to putting in a Reefs 99 micro for your 2-speed shift duty on your Ryft. So a little bit of work, but the quick recap: remove the shift guide shaft inside the tranny. Just leave the shift shaft itself. Remove the guide shaft. Get that out. Plenty of room in the second half of the housing that the shift shaft runs through that keeps it in, straight, stable shot position. That guide shaft shouldn't have to really be in there because it does bind. It bound on mine. Even without a servo attached to it. Just the thing, you could tell it was a little snug and tight up in there. You too. And then put your 99 in. You're going to have to lower it a little bit. You have to take a little bit of the mount out. 2 millimeters max. Can't go much more than that. So that way your servo, micro 99 servo, will set a little bit lower in the mount. What I did is took my shift rod, the little mechanism, the little plastic piece that screws on the end of the shift rod, cut about 1/3 of it off on the bottom. And then when you drop your servo, when your servo goes a little lower, so you got your servo, and when your servo sets down in the mount a little lower than the mount, so it's like, you know, a little setting down there, that gives you a little room, drops the servo horn on the Reefs. Trimming the mount link up a little bit, kind of funny here, if you're looking at the computer. Trimming the mount link up a little bit, that allows that servo, the Reefs 99 metal servo horn, to slide right underneath it. Slot your second and third hole from the outer end of the servo horn, so it's got a slot in it. And when you slide your servo up underneath there, that slot between second and third mounting hole from the end of the servo horn, you don't want a big slot, will slide right up underneath there. And then when I took a drive pin that holds a drive cup on, shortened it, and took it down in its diameter, made it a little bit smaller in diameter. So it would slide into the horn slot that I made in this Reefs horn, and then it will just slide back and forth. And then drove that through the unit. So screwed that through the hole in the servo mount on the shift arm. And the bottom of the pin, the threads went in the top and locked it down into the piece, and the bottom of the pin is hanging low. And coming out the bottom, as you can see when I showed the pictures earlier, about 1 hour in. And you'll see how that's set up. So I think that worked out actually really good. It made it real easy to work with. Get this little bit of dirt out of here. Shocks are cheap Chinese shocks. They're leaking a little bit. They all do. These are leaking a little bit more than they should have been. I might try to redo them. Get some new diaphragms and see if that'll make it better, a little better or not. But anyways, that should put this puppy into place. So yeah, putting in the Reefs Micro 99, little trick, but once it's in place, good to go. Push some of the stuff around because it's way there. And then the last thing I gotta think about again is which ESC motor I'm gonna swap to. A couple options. I've been debating on picking up a hobby wing motor for I've got an XR8 SCT in my 4x4 slash. So in a 4300, actually a 3600 kV, and I think it's the 46 series motors, whatever they are. Anyways, more ESC than I need, so I'm thinking about buying the what is it? Easy Run XR10, the SCT ESC. That's a mouthful. And then getting the motor for the Ryft, which I want to get the 2200. Yes, the 2200 68 millimeter long. It's censored motor. But that with the XR8 SCT, that can go in the Ryft. And then the Easy Run SC10 Max 10 SCT ESC can go in with the other motor, the hobby wing motor, in the slash. So that's one option. Other option is go with the Tekin system, which I might do. The third option is to the Castle and Castle or the Castle and Homes. I really like the ability of being able to use the aux wire on the Castle and shift between crawling mode and rock racer mode. But I hate the whine of the Castle. It's annoying. So anyways, that's what we're at. Me and my trash room, where all the trash is in here, mostly the cat's room and hobby room, storage room, a bunch of shit in here. But anyway, that's about it. I'm gonna call it. It's been 2 hours and 30 minutes. It's 10:30. I need to make a fatty and make my back happy. You all have a great day. Thanks for hanging out. Take a few moments, hit that like, hit the subscribe button if you would. If I see people subscribe to me, I'll try to get over to their pages, subscribe back to them, and grow each other's pages. Hit the notifications bell. But if you want to be notified, you got to hit the alternative menu, 3 little dots, right there by the notification bell, and then choose all notifications. Facebook made some changes, or I'm sorry, YouTube made some changes around here. And when you click the bell to get notified, you're going to be notified on personal notifications by default. So you got to go in there and change that to all, regardless of who you're subscribing to. If you want to be notified of the stuff, you need to subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Subscribe, obviously. Hit the notification bell and then choose the options and choose all. So that's it. Thanks a lot. You folks have a great night. We'll talk to you later.